Well, everyone, welcome to yet another OpenChain webinar. First of all, this is quite an exciting webinar. We have been running an AI study group and then an AI work group on the topic of AI bill of material compliance in the supply chain. Now, we've been looking at that topic for 1 year, and front of mind for us was the idea that open source AI would become more and more common. Inevitably, open code and open data tends to win in any fast-moving space. And then, of course, very recently, everything changed as DeepSeek released an incredible, highly performant model as open source, and then proceeded to release all the bits and pieces necessary to create that model, giving an enticing picture of a future where people can use an advanced AI on their laptop or on their work computer entirely locally, but having the type of performance that previously was available only from online and more closed approaches to AI. Now, we're very fortunate to have Jerry to unpack this with us. Jerry Tan has been involved in the open source community in China for very many years. He's one of the key people that brought together the community. And he was in Saudi Arabia recently talking about DeepSeek and AI from China. And I said to Jerry, can you redo that talk for us so we can have a recording? Because there's an awful lot of talk in Western media about DeepSeek, but there's been surprisingly little information coming from people in China who are closer to the epicenter of all of this. And this talk, this recording, will be, in our case, one of our first dives into Chinese AI work. So thank you for everyone who's here live. After Jerry's presentation, we'll be taking questions as usual. And for those of you watching the recording who may have questions, on the page that contains this recording, you'll find a link to our AI work group where you can raise them. Before we start, I'm just showing the antitrust policy notice. We show this at the beginning of every Linux Foundation meeting. And the full antitrust policy is on the Linux Foundation website. If you have any questions and you're from a member company, you can ask those of our counsel, Andy Updegrove. If you're not from an LF member company and you have questions, you can ask them of your own counsel. Right, with that, I will hand over to Jerry. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'll share my screen.
Looking good.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. We're
Okay.
seeing everything pretty clearly. Perfect.
Okay, great. So, thanks. Good afternoon, dear Mr. Shen and my dear friends in OpenChamp community. Thanks for having me. I'm Jerry Tan, Executive Vice Secretary General of China Open Source Promotion Union. I'm also a member of Apache Foundation. In fact, I have been an active member in OpenChain China group and community for quite a long time. And thanks for invitation from Shen. I will introduce DeepSeek. It's not only an open source AI model, it's a vision where AI should be open, powerful, and accessible to all. In my talk, I will introduce this technology and its founder, its team, and its vision. I think together we will explore how open source AI is unlocking the future. Okay. Most people may heard that DeepSeek disruptions. On January 28th, Nevada lost almost $600 billion in market value in a single day. It's the largest single day loss in Wall Street history. It's all because of DeepSeek. So they call it as DeepSeek sell-off. And the DeepSeek's app surged to the top of the US App Store, surpassed ChatGPT. Its App Store ranked #1. And the industry think that it's AI's splenic moment because it changes any AI landscape with groundbreaking breakthroughs. So, what is DeepSeek? DeepSeek is a group of advanced AI modules developed by a Chinese startup of the same name and designed to provide high efficient and cost-effective AI solutions. Unlike OpenAI, DeepSeek's modules are open source, allow developers and researchers worldwide to access, inspect, and building upon them. When we talk about the DeepSeek modules, actually we are referring two modules of them. First one is DeepSeek v3. It was released on December 2024. It's compatible to OpenAI GPT-4o, and it was released under a license just like OpenReal like license. It's a kind of open source license with some AI responsibilities. And another one is the most popular one is DeepSeek R1. It was released on January 2025. It's compatible to the OpenAI o1. It was released under the MIT license. And just this week, DeepSeek v3 have an update version is released under the MIT license also. Why DeepSeek's modules are so popular? There are three characteristics. First is high performance. It matches or outperforms leading AI modules compared with OpenAI's o1 or GPT-4o. And also low cost. 120% of GPT-4o of the training cost and 130% of GPT-4o API cost. And third is the most important one is open source and local deployment. It's customizable and independent runnable. We can say the benchmark. The blue one is DeepSeek v3, and the brown one is GPT-4o. You can see that there are several test cases: MMU, GPQA, Mass 500, and AIME, Code Forces, and SW Bench Verified. The DeepSeek, the performance is just compatible with GPT-4o or even better on some test cases. You can see that here, 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 here. And this is another benchmark result compared with the DeepSeek R1 with OpenAI O1. The blue one is DeepSeek R1, and the green one is OpenAI O1. You can see that in several test cases, DeepSeek R1's performance is compatible or even better than OpenAI's O1. This benchmark report is available on GitHub and on its published papers. When it's released, many QL praised the DeepSeek. For example, Andrew Capacity is a famous AI scientist. He writes this: DeepSeek make it look easy today with the open weight release of frontier-grade ARM trained on a joke of budget. 2048 GPUs for 2 months, 6 millions. And this is Satya, the CEO of Microsoft. He said that DeepSeek is super impressive. And this is Jim Fan, a very famous AI scientist from NVIDIA. He said that DeepSeek is truly open frontier research that empowers all. And this one is Mark Anderson, a famous VC. In his Twitter, he said that DeepSeek R1 is one of the most amazing and impressive breakthrough I've ever seen, and as open source, a profound gift to the world. And Andrew Ng, a famous AI scientist and entrepreneur, he said China is catching up to the US in generative AI. And this is Pat, the former CEO of Intel. He said that DeepSeek will help reset the increasingly closed world of foundation AI model works. So today here, I will read some technical highlights of these modules. For DeepSeek V3, it uses an advanced mixture of expert MOE architectures. DeepSeek V3 empowers a sophisticated MOE structure comprising 671 billion parameters with 37 billion activated per token. This design allows the model to manage computational costs very effective while scaling up parameters. The second is FP8 mixture precisions. DeepSeek V3 utilizes FP8 mixture precisions during training, which reduce computational costs and memory usage without compromise module performance. And also some features like MRA, multi-head latent attending mechanism, and MTP, multi-token predictions. These technologies that used is to reduce the training and serving costs while still maintain the high performance. And I will also list some technical highlights of DeepSeek R1 also. For DeepSeek R1, it uses pure reinforcement learning approach. It doesn't unlike traditional models that really heavily unsupervised fine-tune. DeepSeek R1 employs reinforcement learning to enhance its reasonable capabilities. And also, it is efficient knowledge destination for small models. This team pioneered a destination framework that transfers R1's reasoning power to small modules. So many engineers can install their reading models on their laptops, just like Shane and me. And the GPRO is a group of relative policy optimizations. Is a specialized algorithm to reduce the cost and fast the training process. There are many technical innovations in these two modules, but due to the time limited, I cannot list them one by one. If you are interested, you can refer the technical report and their paper for more details. Someone may think that DeepSeek is popular just is a quick game, but we know that it's not. Roma wasn't built in a day, because let's go through the history of DeepSeek's venue. It has released several modules already. On November 2023, DeepSeek first version modules released. It's called DeepSeek ARM. It's compatible to GPT 3.5. On May 2024, DeepSeek V2 released. It's compatible to OpenAI GPT-4, but faster and cheaper. And then on November 2024, DeepSeek V3 released. It's compatible to Cloudera 3.5, the SOTA module at that time. And on January 2025, this year, DeepSeek R1 released. Is compatible to OpenAI AI01, but much cheaper. And on January 2025, DeepSeek releases their multimodal AI models. DeepSeek Genus Pro is compatible to DALL-E 3. And just this week, they released the DeepSeek V3 updated version. Is released under MIT license. Okay, let me give a quick overview of this company, DeepSeek company. The company was founded in July 2023 by Mr. Liang Wenfeng, a famous person in the Chinese quant fund industry. The company's mission aims to develop AGI, artificial general intelligence, focus on research and innovation rather than immediately commercializations. The team is small, only have 114 plus employees. Most of them are from domestic universities. The company was just founded 2 years ago, but actually there is another company that behind DeepSeek. It's called Higher Flyer Quant. The CEO is also Mr. Liang Wenfeng. Higher Flight is a Chinese hedge fund and early adopter of using AI in the training algorithm, which was established in 2015. You can see that Firefly, the company, has been built up for almost 10 years. Firefly Tech has a strong technical abilities. In 2016, they released their first AI modules. They began to use deep learning algorithm modules for real-time trained using GPUs for calculations. And in 2020, they released their first AI cluster they called Firefly 1 AI cluster. Their cluster has over 1,500 GPUs at that time. And a year later, 2021, they released their second generation AI cluster called Firefly 2 AI cluster. It cost 100 million RMB to build it. It has more than 10,000 GPUs at that time. It's even before the GPT 3.5. So you can say that Firefly Count have deep history and technical abilities in AI technologies. Let's go through the technical industry impact of DeepSeek. First, AI accessibilities. Enable affordable AI integration for startup and enterprises. And the innovation catalyst. Open source approach accelerate global AI development and market disruptions, force competitors to rethink pricing and accessibilities. And now, cloud vendors are integrating DeepSeek R1 now. You can say that Andrew Jassy, the CEO of AWS, he said that DeepSeek is now available on both Amazon Red Rock and SageMaker AI. And also, Microsoft Azure says that DeepSeek R1 is now live on Azure AI Foundry and GitHub. Also, NVIDIA NIM is an AI cloud released by NVIDIA. He said DeepSeek R1 is now live with NVIDIA NIM. And here is the open source strategy behind the company. Why open source? Because the company want to enhance AI collaboration and transparency and encourage global AI innovations. From the founder, Mr. Liang Wenfeng's perspective, our mission is to democratize AI by making it accessible to all. That's why they want to open source their modules. Okay. And here is the close remark by Professor Yang Kun. He's a professor at NYU. He's the chief AI scientist at Meta. He's one of the ACM Turing Award. His comments about the DeepSeek. To people who see the performance of DeepSeek and think that China is surpassing the US in AI, you're reading this wrong. The correct reading is open source modules are surpassing proprietary ones. Why? Because with open source, everyone wins. Okay, let's summarize my presentations. DeepSeek strength is high performance, low cost, and open source. It has global influence, reshape AI affordabilities and accessibilities. And look ahead, a company will continue to release AI modules and they will continue to drive AI innovations. And here is my contact informations, jerrytan@apache.com, and here is my LinkedIn and WhatsApp. Thanks. That's all for my sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jerry. And, we're open for everyone to ask questions. I'd like to ask one to get started. Uh,
Okay.
and that question is, how will DeepSeek make money when they're giving everything away?
That's a good question. Uh, in fact, they are not make money. They not want to raise a lot of money from DeepSeek modules. They have another company called what is one? Higher Flight is quite profitable, and they share the same resources and scientists. So this company can get a lot of money to support DeepSeek to release their modules. And for the training and the server cost, recently they released their AI module services. People pay it by tokens. They have calculated that the the income could cover their training courses. So they will continue to go on their business. They are not eager to make money at that time.
That makes sense. Thank you, Jerry. And does anyone else have a question for Jerry? We have a written question from Fukuchi-san. He says, what do you think are the factors that made development of DeepSeek possible in China? So specifically, what allowed DeepSeek to take a different direction to other companies? And he noted that, you know, taking a different approach is risky. So what enabled them to take these risks and make this challenge to the sort of status quo of closed or partially open models and go in a completely different direction? Fukuchi-san said he's interested in how technological foresight or getting enough compute resources, building a strong AI community, how all of that was made to happen in China. And was there, adding on to Fukuchi-san's point, was there something special about China and the Chinese market that allowed this to happen?
Oh, there are too many questions. Okay.
You can choose
Let
your favorite.
let me answer the first questions. Why DeepSeek choose a different approach compared with the OpenAI and Meta? Because their company vision is to make AI accessible to all. So they have to make it low cost, because high cost um will cannot benefit many peoples. This is the number one, their attention. And also, you know that we cannot buy the first class GPUs in China right now, because US government forbidden sales the most advantage NVIDIA GPU to China companies. We have limited GPU resources. So the company of DeepSeek have to use some low-cost method to reduce the cost. That's why they succeed. And with their succeed, they give us another options that we can still get a high performance, but with much lower cost. With much lower cost, um, everyone in the industry, in the AI model industry, vendors will like this idea because they will get a much cheaper module to deploy on their platforms. And also it is open sourced, released on the MIT license, which means everyone can deploy it on their environment. That's why they got so popular. Okay.
Jerry, that's
So
a great
what's the,
answer.
what's the second question?
Well, you covered a lot of it about why the environment in China was a little bit different, and they had to take a different route. I think the second part, Fukushi-san, would it be correct to say the second part would be what type of community and active exchanges might have supported this? Is the AI community in China a place where people are interacting a lot? Are they meeting up and sharing? Or is a company like DeepSeek working very much in its own silo?
Actually, there are many AI companies in China release the open modules and open source modules. I can list many of them. One is Alibaba. Alibaba has released open source their modules called Q1, Qian1 modules for quite a long time. They are very, very popular in society, in education and industries. Beside Alibaba and also Tencent and ChatGRM and some other and organizations also release their modules and making it available to the industry. So, which I means that it's not only one company do that. There are many companies do the same way. So, and there is the active AI communities in China. They exchange their ideas and uh, ex- release AI modules almost every week.
And we have another question. This is from Julian. His question is about using AI for code generation. And he was just saying companies are worried about generated code from AI maybe matching open source. And this is a general problem. It's not about DeepSeek. It's just that when AI is used to generate code, there's concern that it might replicate the code that was used to train it. And a lot of that code is open source. So many companies are worried about licensing and so on. Does DeepSeek have any mechanisms to prevent these issues? And this is a general question, and there may or may not be an answer available for it. It just reflects a concern in the industry.
Yes. Thanks for Julia. The question is a quite good questions. But currently people are working on AI code compilers currently they are not too much concerned about the copyright issues and the patents issues. For me, I think development can let them to develop the features first. If we meet some real questions, we will meet some cases, and we will figure out how to do it effectively with development. Maybe let me explain it again. I think it's not a problem right now. If it's really a problem, we can handle it in the future. Currently, DeepSeek have not a such mechanism to prevent it, just like others.
Thank you very much, Jerry. And one thing I thought might be interesting for people is that there's a very well-known tool online. Oop, Jerry, can I share my screen briefly if you stop
Okay.
sharing? Yeah.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So there's a great tool online called Olama. This is Olama, and it's
Yeah.
an open source framework for running LLMs, and
Yeah.
DeepSeek is here. And you can see the different models of DeepSeek and see what they're using. For instance, the 8 billion parameter is using a distillation on Llama. Okay, so it's a distillation of DeepSeek onto the Llama system. And then the 7 billion and the 14 billion are using the Quen 2. And Jerry, I believe that's Alibaba's one, right? The open source
Yes.
Alibaba AI.
Yes.
And people probably are familiar with the models from, companies like Meta with Llama and Gemma from Google and Five from Microsoft. But things like Quen are very important and very performant. So just having a look at the 14 billion parameter DeepSeek using Quen 2, uh, it's fascinating to see how much progress has been made in getting these things to work. So this is 14 billion parameter running locally on my laptop, which is of course a lot, but it just runs. And what we have here is the DeepSeek knowledge distilled down to run on the Quen 2 at 14 billion parameters. So we have one open source approach running distillation on another open source approach, one of them from DeepSeek and one of them from Alibaba, both obviously coming from China. And that's, I think, the wave of the future that we're looking at, and the pros and cons, that now it's going to be realistic for absolutely everyone to mess around with LLMs for code, written documentation, and so on. And our challenge, as well as our opportunity, is in trying to understand these and then have good ways to manage them, especially in the trusted supply chain. And OpenChain is working on that. We do have an AI work group, and the AI work group is thinking that more and more models like DeepSeek and Quen will be used. And the question for the supply chain is how to address that. What type of process management do we need when all of this is going on? And we have a monthly workshop. Here's a picture of the latest monthly workshop where we've been working on this very explicitly, and we're building a guide which looks at existing ISO standards, like our ISO standard for license compliance, an ISO standard for artificial intelligence management, an ISO standard for software bill of materials, and starts to put in guidance around if you're a company in the supply chain and you or your suppliers are putting things like AI into the process, how do you manage that? What type of policy, competence, awareness, what type of program and license obligations do you need to think about? So that's what we're working on. And our fascination with things like DeepSeek is that they moved ahead faster than we expected. It suddenly went from we know it's coming into yes, I'm running it on my laptop, which a remarkable accomplishment. Jerry, one last question. Um, it's a little bit difficult to catch DeepSeek at the moment. They're releasing code and they're communicating very carefully, but it's hard to you know talk with the company. It's hard to meet the people from it. Now, understandably, they're in the center of a revolutionary series
Yeah.
of releases, and they have to be cautious. Just looking ahead, once the dust settles a bit, can you let us know when the DeepSeek team is ready to chat more freely? Because it would be fantastic when they're ready just to have a chance to explore more of how they came to this point and where they think we're going next, because obviously they've redefined the cutting edge.
Thank you, Sharon. Actually, DeepSeek is company is quite popular these days, and the CEO is very careful about the PR, and they want their employee to focus on the research works. So currently, no one from their company talk about their technologies publicly. And we also want to invite them to any some event, but we failed, and we have cannot succeed. As you know, yes, if they are open to talk publicly, we will be very happy to engage with them and contact with Shen. Maybe we can exchange some informations uh, the AI module supply chain issues. But currently, maybe we can invite people from Alibaba to join these discussions first.
No, that sounds great. I would love to have the Alibaba team on, because they've been doing AI for ages. It's been a very long time since I first started talking with Tencent and Alibaba and Baidu about AI. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, just yeah, if the DeepSeek team begins to look around, we're very happy to talk. Our main concern, which isn't about having a problem, but our challenge is thinking about how tens of thousands of companies will use all of this in the supply chain. So we very much value the expertise, and we're very glad that you're helping to build the bridge here. So yes, let's target Alibaba's team and see if they'll come and talk about Quen one day. Particularly the fact that DeepSeek is using Quen for distillations is a really good example of one open source thing using another open source thing to build something new, which
Yeah.
is exactly what we want to see. But it's also exactly what we'll need to manage as different code bases with different licenses are flowing through the supply chain. Right. Does anyone have a last question while we've got Jerry on the line? Remember, it's hard to catch Jerry. He's very busy. All right. If there's no questions, then Jerry, I must say thank you very much for coming to do this presentation. We'll be publishing the recording quite soon. And, you know, I guess I'll see you in a month or two in China. There's a couple of events coming up.
Okay.
All right. Everyone, thank you. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Stay
Thank you.
healthy.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.